those who are participating virtually need to feel connected like they were there. And I think that's a tough thing because it costs money. And you've got people all over the world and they're more likely to show up if it feels like you've really taken care, like they're in the room.
If I come to you as a thinking partner and try to help build on the strategy, that's gonna help you feel like, cool, this isn't my forte. I've got plenty of other things I'm trying to manage with this whole event. If you're coming to me with ideas and ways for this to be kind of turnkey and I can just trust that it's gonna happen, that's gonna make it more appealing.
You become part of our team as opposed to a vendor who we have to manage, which, there's always going to be some level of managing because we need to tell you, hey, capture this, not that, here's the schedule, etc. But if you've come in before the event and really gotten to know what the event's going to be like so that you can step in. However, I would say this, convincing me that you're my business partner has to follow you've got great quality content.
On episode 447, we talk about how being a jack of all trades isn't a weakness, it might actually be your superpower. We also talk about how to capture unforgettable moments at live events and what to do when you miss one, and also the big difference between being a vendor and becoming a trusted partner to your clients. What is up, my friend? Hey, welcome to the Grow Your Video Business podcast, where we're all about helping you build a profitable video production business without burning out. My name is Ryan Coral, and today I am joined by Phil Mershon. He's an event architect, musician, pickleballer, and professional Swiss Army knife. He's also one of the main brains behind one of the biggest marketing events in the entire world called Social Media Marketing World. Phil drops some serious wisdom in this one about how to make your video work stand out, especially if you're filming events. From prepping your client with the right questions, to knowing which moments must be captured, to getting rehired year after year, this one is packed with gold. I took a lot of notes. We still film events. I mean, my career started in mostly wedding filmmaking and transitioned into corporate filmmaking and or corporate events. And then finally today, most of our work is with brands and brand films, but we still do some really large, I'm talking our last huge event that we captured, I think the contract was like $90,000. It was for a 3-day event. Lots of deliverables in that, but there is a lot of money to be made in event filmmaking. So if you're not, if you're trying to come up with different ways to make money in this business, this is a good area to spend in. So there's some gold in this one. And hey, before we dive in, if you want help creating more strategic, soul-driven videos for your clients, ones that have more intentionality and strategy and will help you make more money and be profitable and deliver better videos and give your clients a better experience, and if you're working with a team, to give your own team a better experience, then I want you to grab my free video blueprint starter kit. This thing has the tools to help you clarify your message, to help you show up confidently and use video to build trust and get clients. And this is something that we've been using and applying for years in our own production company. This is one of the things that sets us apart and has helped us achieve the success that we do today, and has helped us help our clients achieve success. So if you want to know more about this video blueprint, then head over to studiosherpas.com/blueprints, or you can hit the link in the show description, show notes, whatever. With that, let's jump into today's episode. What's up, friend? Hey, welcome to another episode of the show. With me today is Phil Mershon, who is an author, speaker, coach, pickleballer, musician, also founder of Unforgettable Events. Phil, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Man, sounds like I've got a lot of blades on my Swiss Army knife, which is what people call me. Welcome to, I'm so glad to be on the show, man.
Hey, have you heard that, can you finish this? what is it? Oh my gosh, I'm totally forgetting. Jack of all trades, master of none. Do you know the rest?
Oh, I don't know what the rest of it is now.
Dude, this is going to be so perfect for you. I'm going to look it up. Full quotes. I usually don't Google things while I'm in the middle of an episode. Jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's quite interesting. One place that showed up for me is back when I was in my 20s, I did triathlons, and I wasn't the best at any of the three disciplines, but I tended to finish ahead of someone who was, because I could do all three reasonably well. And I finished in the top three, could have gone to nationals if I chose, didn't want to spend the money. But so I could see how that would be true. The sum of all my skills may be greater than someone who only has one skill. That's a good way to see it.
I just, there's so much, as I'm coaching people, one of the first questions is, oh, God, I don't have all the business that I want. And it's like, okay, well, what's your niche? What industry are you serving? And it's like, well, just kind of like everybody. It's like, you got to niche down. So there's all this emphasis on niching, but also, the fact that if you are able to serve and help and do different things, like you actually become a lot more valuable than if you are only good at one thing or only good for one audience.
Yeah, I think once you get into working with a client, you find there's multiple ways that you can help them because of your skills, then that is one way to grow, is having multiple things you can do. The other is, I only do this thing, and now I've got to find a bunch of customers to do that one thing for.
Yeah. So you've been in the event space. How did you end up in the event space?
Well, I won't give you the long version of it, but the fast flyover, the pun is, I started at Boeing. So flyover, okay. I got the bug that I liked events more than programming computers, but it took a few years for me to get into that. I did some events for nonprofits. I was a pastor in worship, but in between there, I worked for Koch Industries, a large oil and gas company, and started doing corporate training. And that's when I started getting recognition for the way that I designed events, but I didn't get really into it for another, 10 years. Pretty much.
Yeah. Wow.
And I began putting on a large conference with my boss called Social Media Marketing World back in 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And that's really when I'd say I got into the event business full on. But I would say I've been doing them my entire career.
Wow. And that's like one of the premier, if you don't know that event, I mean, it's like one of the premier, if not the premier events for social media. I mean, right?
Today, it's the biggest and one of the only. So many people have exited social media and gone to other places. And so we are the largest remaining conference, and we've always been the largest in the world. So it's the place to go. And we're also into AI. You've got to be into AI anymore.
Yeah, that's wild. That's awesome. Well, congrats on that. That's super impressive. When you think about all of the events that you've been a part of, what's been one of like the proudest things that you've helped come up with and implement?
I would say there's a couple things that stand out to me. Some of them are surprise moments. Here's a surprise moment. We're going to talk about this later. Is this past event, I brought a beatboxer in. I hired this guy knowing that he had something different than we'd ever done before. I've never seen the response to what he did. He got a standing ovation after 5 minutes. And I thought people are going to either love this or hate this. I didn't know what the response would be. I knew he was good, but he's like world class. Yeah. He's won world class competitions. And that response was something that I just didn't expect. But another one is, in our early years, I noticed that there were a lot of people coming to the conference who had skills in music theater. A couple who had been on Broadway or had at least that level of experience. I thought, what would it be like to do a satire that we would do as kind of a musical? And so we took a risk. I took a risk, got these people together, and after the opening keynote, brought them on stage, and we did like a spoof on how to network at an event, and made fun of it, but also gave some practical tips. And that was the only other place I've seen a standing ovation. Like, people really did love it because it was unexpected. And then, of course, we had to live up to it every year. So those are two that I'm proud of and created the response that you want. Like, you want people remembering things at your event. Obviously we want them to remember the things that matter, the learning, but typically if you have something that stands out in their minds of, oh, that's the event where that happened, then they remember the things that they learned, the people that they met, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So when it comes to video, and obviously there's capturing events, there's promoting the event ahead of time to get, people to register, but then like afterward recaps, all of the things. If you were only able to do one kind of video for the work that you do, what do you think would be, what have you seen as being the most helpful to, whether that's equip people with the knowledge, the things that they need to know at your event, or to inspire them to sign up and go to the event? Like what stands out as like, oh, this is a must have. If you're in that space, like, you've got to be doing these kinds of videos.
I'm going to give you two answers, even though you only asked for one, because
that's
the
okay.
answer to it is different if you're talking about a hybrid or virtual event than it is for the in-person. So those who are participating virtually need to feel connected like they were there. And I think that's a tough thing because it costs money, especially if you're in a union facility. They require multiple people to be there, but you need to treat that as if it's its own event. And you've got people all over the world, and they're more likely to show up if it feels like you've really taken care, like they're in the room. The recording, I don't think people have the same expectation because the recording is like a YouTube video. You're there to learn. It's good to have a face there so you feel connected to it, but the in-person or someone who's sitting at their desk wishing they were there, the video is important for that. So if you've got multiple angles, someone who's calling that, I think that ends up being a bit better. Obviously, investment is involved with that, and that's connected to what's happening in person. If you're able to do IMAGs where people can actually see up close, if it's a super large room. But I think what's more valuable for the in-person is capturing footage that you can use later. So the beatboxer is a great example of a fail on his part, not necessarily a fail for the show, but if we would have thought about how is this going to get used later, we had 3 static cameras with certain, lenses. We couldn't afford, because of union prices, to have someone manning them, because once you do that at a union facility, then you've got to have their counterpart, or you have to trust that that person's going to know what they're doing, which unfortunately isn't always the case. Sometimes you have great people. Like, I've had a guy who was on Broadway and guys who were in Hollywood who've done it. And then sometimes like, how do you change the angle on this? Like, how did you get on this job? So anyway, we had 3 static views, and he literally asked me yesterday, "Hey, Phil, could I get some edits on the video you sent me?" I'm like, "Well, what do you need? Can you give me some different angles?" Like, unfortunately, no. Those are what you get. So thinking about how is this going to be used later, this is strategic thinking that we do in business, but I don't know if every event organizer is thinking ahead to where will this video be used later? What kinds of shots are we going to need so that we can do that? Now, we do a sizzle reel every year, and the video producers of that are running around with cameras on their shoulders who are capturing some of that stuff. Unfortunately, it's not the stuff that's going to the hybrid attendees. That footage is not necessarily made available to those who are entertaining because it's being sliced and diced just for a marketing purpose. So the content that's being created for those who are learning has a different set of requirements than someone who's specifically there to capture testimonials, to capture those brief moments that they can put into a 2-minute or 3-minute sizzle reel.
And that sizzle reel, is that being played at the event? Is it after the event? Is it to promote the next year's events?
We've done both, playing it at the event and doing it just after. when you're playing at the event, then you have to create a certain kind of video that can be produced on site. And we decided this past event not to do that because we wanted testimonials integrated and we wanted footage from the whole show. And its primary purpose is to promote next year. It's cool for people to sit there and see themselves, which is why we've done it every year up till this year. But it puts a huge pressure on the team to get it done. And they're eliminating basically the last half of a day because they've got to start, putting it into a form that it can be shown. So, there's pros and cons for both ways. I think it's cool to show it because it really is fun. It gets people jazzed, but it's also fun to release it, a few weeks later and say, here it is, share it with your friends. And it definitely gets a lot of views for the next year.
And then what video or videos have you seen or feel like really help contribute to more people registering? Like, are there any that you feel like, oh yeah, it is the recap video that we turn into a teaser to promote, or is there, is it a testimonial combination? What have you seen that's worked to help with registrants?
Yeah, I think there's different kinds you can do. Testimonials for sponsors are likely to help sponsors say, oh, these are my people or these aren't my people, which is just as important. You don't want someone coming expecting to generate leads when it's not the right audience for them. So I think testimonials are really helpful. Another thing though is samples. So a lot of times you want to give a sample of a talk. So, if it's a 45-minute talk, here's a 15-minute sample of that. And that is probably one of the best things that you can do is have a good quality video that you can show as a sample.
And that would be for somebody that's considering coming
for the first time.
Oh, this speaker, this is, okay. Yeah.
Not so much for the speakers. Speakers, at least in our case, they already know the event. Certainly if it's a newer event for somebody, speaker reel might help, but I don't think so. They're going to get the reputation based on what's the content, who's putting this on, what's the feedback like from the attendees. Does this feel like a quality event? Which I guess the video from that standpoint would help you to realize, okay, they're taking video seriously. They're probably taking the production of this event seriously. If the video feels shoddy, then they've got to overcome that and see, well, what else are they doing? Because, if you don't invest in videos, you better be investing in something else.
Right. Yeah. So over the last 15 years or so, you've probably, how many video companies do you think you've worked with?
Usually the production company, and we've worked with 3, takes care of the video as well. We've not used an external video company. So it's part of the in-house skills. Well, no, that's not true. The sizzle reels are done by a different company. They're not done by the production company. And we've used 3, but the first 2 were kind of related. Like one guy left the first company because the first company decided they weren't interested in doing sizzle reels anymore. So one of their guys went out and started his own company. So sort of 2, sort of 3.
Yeah. Well, I know, so many of us, I was sharing this before we hit record, so many guys and gals that run video production businesses today got their start in the event world, whether that was weddings or corporate events, but that's just where there's just so many events and they all could use video. And so we start there, and then some of us transition, some of us stay in there because it's great and it's fun and, all those things. For those of us that are filming events, like what, ideas or what are some things to think about as a production company that would be helpful, that make your job easier, that would ultimately make it easier or a no-brainer to hire a company like us to work with you for whether it's creating sizzle reels or creating these testimonial films, but being a part of the event to capture it, to tell the story, to help grow the event and make it even better with and through the use of video.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing that's going to get my attention is you've understood what my goals are and you know how to make those a reality, as opposed to talking about gear and people, what is the outcome? And we've got two primary outcomes. One is we want marketing assets, and two, we want a great hybrid show. We don't use video in the in-person experience all that much. We probably could be doing more. So if you give me confidence that you can create video that's going to help me with those two goals, that's going to help me to accomplish the financial goals that I have. The online community is going to be more likely to re-enlist or come in person. The marketing tools help us to the same goal. They both have revenue outcomes that are there. I think the third thing, though, that I would say is if you can come in and convince me, hey, I'm going to be your producer. This is going to be like it's a television show. I'm going to come in and I'm going to help you call the show in a way that's going to wow your guests and make them feel just as relevant as if they're watching Fox or ABC News or they're watching a Netflix show. Like, we're going to create something that's valuable, but we'll stick to your budget. We'll make it work with your budget, but we're going to produce something that is going to fit the way people are used to watching content today. And I think that vision right there, if you can stand out and say, we get it. Your show is competing with Netflix and Amazon and all these things right now, and we can help you. We can make this show maybe not the same quality because we don't have $1 million budget, but it can feel that way. It can feel stimulating and activating. So, the in-person or the online show, if you treat it like a producer, for the marketing material, you're thinking about how do I get great assets? And they probably could be the same set of people, but maybe there's some differences in the marketing because you're capturing testimonials, things that are happening in the hallway, just as much as you are in the content rooms.
Well, so what I hear you saying is that if I come to you as a little bit more of a thinking partner, and I do a good job asking questions on, what is the goal and what's your strategy? And obviously you need things at the event captured, but let's think beyond the event and let's think, are you going to do this event next year? Oh, you do it every year. Okay. What have you used and done in the past that's worked well? And what have you done that hasn't worked well? Let's either not do that or figure out if there's a better way to do that. So if I come to you as a thinking partner and try to help build on the strategy, that's going to help you feel like, cool, this isn't my forte. I've got plenty of other things I'm trying to manage with this whole event. If you're coming to me with ideas and ways for this to be kind of turnkey and I can just trust that it's going to happen, that's going to make it more appealing to you.
Yeah, I think you used a key word, and that's partner. So you become part of our team as opposed to a vendor who we have to manage, which, there's always going to be some level of managing because we need to tell you, hey, capture this, not that. Here's the schedule, etc. But if you've come in before the event and really gotten to know what the event's going to be like so that you can step in and, blow our minds with what you're creating, that's awesome. However, I would say this, convincing me that you're my business partner has to follow, you've got great quality content. If I look at your content and I'm not impressed, who cares if you're a good business partner? So you still have to have great content to show me you've got skill. I don't care what kind of cameras you're using. I just need, what's the outcome? Does this look like something that I would want to show my audience? Then you come in and impress me of, okay, we're going to come in and create great content. You see that we can do that. But we're going to come and accomplish your goals. And we're going to be a partner in that. And I want to take as much pressure off your team as I possibly can so that you can trust us while you produce the show that you're paid to do and you want your customers to be happy with.
It's so important. And it probably wasn't until about 9 years ago that we started doing a workshop with most of our clients before we ever hit record. And the goal with that workshop was really to ask as many questions as we could so that by the time it it was time to hit record, we were doing our job, you were doing your job. We weren't still asking 1,000 questions and trying to impress you with our questions, but it's more just like, help us understand so that we can really own this part, and then you can focus on what you're doing. Sure, yeah, occasionally we're going to have a question or two, but we understand where we need to be. We understand who the key players are. We understand what the key messages are. And then when it comes time to edit and put the piece together, we're not sending you, okay, here's the complete transcript. Go through, once you go through and highlight all of the things and let us know what you want, then we can put it together. We already have a really good handle on what the sound bites are and what the goal of these testimonial pieces are. So, we're not relying, as the production company, the video production company, we're not relying on you to direct us. We're, again, partners in saying like, hey, these were the sound bites. These were the ones that really stood out to us. If we were going to tell this story, does this sound like, we're in sync? And you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, wow, you just saved me so much time and stress to not have to go through the transcripts and do all I don't have time to do that. I will, like, if you need me to. When we started doing that, man, so much more helpful for our clients. But I think the most important part, and I'm speaking to the video producer right now, is making sure that your client and you are in alignment with the expectation. Because there are some clients that we worked with that they want to own all of that. They want to direct the whole thing, and they want to be responsible for the sound bites and the order of the flow and the edit and all that stuff. And if I go into a project assuming that that's our role, and then we start sending videos along to the client, they're like, what is this? Like, no, give me the transcripts. It's like, wow, we just did so much more work than we needed to, and the client. So asking those questions on the front end, like, hey, who at the end of the day do you want to do this collectively? Do you want us to, kind of manage the whole thing and just you sign off on stuff, or vice versa? You are managing the whole thing and we're just signing up. Yeah, we can do that. We can follow whatever directions you have. Doing that, getting alignment and understanding on expectations at the beginning, oh my gosh, save you so much stress, make everybody so much more happier at the end, and keeping people in their lanes. Found a lot of success that way, and not success doing it the wrong way for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's a super helpful set of questions. I know, watching our CEO, who very much is an art director, he's had different levels at which he gets involved depending on what it is. If a testimonial video, he studies the transcripts and says, these are the ones I want. You put them together, the way. The sizzle reel, not so much. He will tell you if you like something or doesn't, get rid of that. Can we add something like this? But he won't be as involved. So I think he may not have told you up front, I want to art direct it, but he would later,
but you'll find out,
help himself at one level. And so sometimes you're going to have that where people don't know. But I think what's helpful that you bring is the knowledge of all the things, of how lighting is going to affect it, how the angle is going to affect it. You're telling a story in ways that go beyond the words and the people. And I think, back to the musical that we did, they didn't get enough time to know all the places they should set their cameras to capture what we were doing, because we only had a certain amount of time to rehearse it. When you've got 10 union guys on stage while you're rehearsing, you want to be very judicial on how much time you spend doing it. And so we didn't get all the best moments, but we got some really cool moments, some of the tender moments that they were able to figure out. So that's kind of another thing, is making sure that you're planning rehearsal time so you can see anything that's going to be special, that you've had time to view it before it actually happens. Because there's the capturing stuff in the moment. Like the team we had this year was really good at that. They had three people running around. One was kind of the producer in the back room, taking the footage and putting it together. And two guys were out on the floor just looking for things, like, detectives, basically. And they knew some of the places to go, but they also were sniffing things out, and they captured some really great moments that the producer was able to put together into a very impressive sizzle reel. So I think you've got to have both the stuff that you've planned, and you got to sit there and rehearse it and figure out, okay, exactly how am I going to capture this moment? Because I know it's something that's going to be shown a ton. Like the opening keynote with your CEO, you know that's important. So let's get that one right. The other ones, you're sniffing it out and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. What about any mistakes that you've seen? We'll not name names, but any tips, tricks, advice to help us video people make your events captured better and the experience better?
Well, I don't know that I can blame any video producer for this, but I will say that be careful if you're ready to put something on YouTube or today TikTok. Do you really want it to go viral or not? We produce an original song every year at our conference, and the second year, I was pretty much solely responsible for it. I'm a former worship pastor. I've written hundreds of songs. So I wrote it with a little bit of collaboration, but not very much. My kids had warned me that I probably shouldn't do it. But I'm like, what do you know?
No.
So I'll just say this. I rapped in the middle of it, and I was in my 40s at the time. So the very typical, stereotypical middle-aged white man rapping, not very well. You can already picture it. And I put it up on YouTube.
Yes.
Thinking our audience would love it. And, for the most part they did. But then Gawker picked it up. And then ESPN, VH1, WGN in Chicago. On my account alone, it got almost 1 million views. On other accounts, it got tens of millions of views. And it was negative. Largely, 4-to-1 responses were negative, making fun of it. Just kill me now kind of comments. So I don't think that would have happened today in the TikTok world because there's so many things that are out there that people are trying to do that. And, but at the same time, when you produce something, be careful the content is actually something that's on brand, because we had to do a lot of PR around that. And it hurt me personally for a few years, and I stopped writing songs alone and insisted on doing it with others. And I still do that to this day. But today it's like a funny story. It's like, I'm the guy. That's me. But so that would be the one. And I did name names there. I think the other one is just missing moments, not knowing something was happening and there's no one there to capture it, and it's lost forever. And I don't have like a specific that I'm remembering, but it's like, oh, we wish someone had been there. And sometimes it's just totally spontaneous things and there's no way it's going to happen. But others are, we knew that was happening. Why didn't we tell the video team about it? So I think that's, that way, if you're becoming part of our team as a partner, you're going to hopefully hear the things. You're going to be in the room when we're doing orientation saying, here's the stuff that's going to happen at the event. And you're like, can we be in the room? Because we want to hear this stuff, because you may not have documented something and we're going to hear, oh, that's happening. We should probably be there. And our marketing team does everything that they can to get all those things, but sometimes you don't remember. There was something we did this year that I thought everybody knew it was happening, and it turned out half the team didn't know. It's like, because I had told certain people, I thought, oh, well, of course it's disseminated to everyone. It hadn't. So it wasn't a video opportunity, but that could easily have been one of those video opportunities where that happened.
Yeah, that's all really good. I really like the idea of if it's like every morning, if it's a 3-day event, every morning we're getting together early at breakfast or for coffee or whatever. And we're just, even if it's 5 minutes, hit the high points. Where should we be? What are the must gets? Must have shots. What do we have to get today? Oh my gosh. Like, did you guys hear? We're going to have an elephant, or we're going to have, whatever. Okay, shoot. Where is that? What time? Okay, good. Got it. Super duper important. Like you're saying, it can easily, it was in the schedule. Yeah, it was in the schedule. We didn't realize that was if there was one thing that we missed today, that's the thing that everybody's going to be freaking out about. So communication, I feel like, I'm not going to name names, but I think we'll just say the newer generation would prefer just to text everything and skip the conversation. But so much can be lost in just an email or a text. So a quick 5-10 minute connect with your client to just go over what is the flow for today? What do we need to look out for? Where do we have to be? When can we just kind of roam and be detectives? I like that you said detectives, because I'm like, oh yeah, that was like so much of, whether we're filming events or weddings or corporate stuff. It's just like, you got one person that's just like walking around looking, oh, cool, man, this is, and those end up sometimes being the coolest things that you just didn't plan. But I love that intentionality of just touching base with the stakeholders, the person who knows the schedule from the back of their hand by the back.
I think the must get, don't miss list is probably a really important thing that could get lost in a text. So asking that, are there 3 things happening today? Are there key moments that we don't want to miss? If we miss other stuff, it's okay. But if we miss these, it will be stakeholders will, care. Hey, why didn't I see that? Why am I not in the video? They may not always know. So you may have to ask it in a couple different ways, but hopefully we've thought about it in advance, but
sometimes it can get lost in the shuffle. And I'll do the same thing when we're going to interview somebody, so you give us a list like, hey, interview these 3 people today. And you have in your mind what you would want each person to say. We're going to have this person because they've been coming since the beginning. So they know all of the things. This person, their first time, but they're really well known by everybody. And so you have something without us asking or really being clear on what's the one soundbite. If this one person only gave us one thing to say, what do you want them to talk about, or what do you want them to say? And you're like, oh yeah, this person that's been coming from the beginning. Why? Like, why do you keep coming back? Oh, cool. Okay, we got that one question. Great, we can get them to answer that, and then anything else is just icing on the cake. So same thing. What are the must-have shots, and then what are the must-get sound bites from the people that you've earmarked and just said, yeah, these are important people. Why? Why are they important? If they only gave us one soundbite, what is that thing that you want them to speak into or speak about?
Yeah. And those are great questions that I think, will cause a marketing team or a CEO or an event producer to sit with for a minute, but should be, especially the key moments will be easier. The sound bites is probably a marketing team. What do we want people to say that we can use later as we talk about the event?
Yeah. And there's like when a client says to us like, we don't have time to come up with that. We don't really know. It's like, okay, well, like the easy ones are like, why do you care about this event? Like, how has it helped your business? Like, why do you keep coming back? Like there are the default easy ones. But again, I want to make sure that if you are having us interview a specific person, is there one thing that they need to talk about or one perspective or anything like that? So just getting clear helps everybody be more successful.
Yeah, I guess that raises a question, and I don't know the answer to this, but if your camera person, if they're not good at asking those questions, is there someone else along on the video production company side, or that could be someone from the event production side who knows the questions to ask, who knows the people, how to draw that out? Because interviewing is a different set of skills than being able to capture on video.
Yeah. And that's why I'm excited to get this document that I mentioned to you to get some feedback on it. But that's one of the things where, who is going to be asking the questions? If you want it to be us, okay, well, we can, anybody can ask a question, but if you really want it to be like an engaging interview where you're pulling out, then you've got to have somebody that's got some empathy and that's got a little bit of experience doing interviews. It's not just like read the question. We did this one project and I had this he's an NFL player now. He was in the draft, which was why we were filming him. And I hired a new contractor and I was there just to shake hands and be like, oh yeah, I met so-and-so. And I'm watching this guy that we hired and he's filming this football player. And I see him look at a piece of paper and he's like, what do you love about this? It was like, so just dry, cold, and the guy answers and I'm just like, oh man, that's not what we were going for. Like if I'm asking the question, I'm like, looking at the guy in the eyes and just like, man, like it's awesome that you're here and, super excited about where you're going. But like, why? Like, why do you care about, just having like some emotion in the thing. And he read off like 2 or 3 questions, and it was just like super robotic, and you can get that. But again, if nobody's clear on who's guiding the conversation, the interview, do you have somebody from your team that you trust, that you really want to do these, or do you want to rely on us? Because if you're relying on us, then automatically I'm like, oh, if we're doing interviews, that's a lot different than just going around capturing pretty footage. Now we need to have a producer, somebody that actually can relate to the person that they're interviewing and pull out the sound bites and, get some kind of emotional response. Very different. And so that's going to cost more than just having somebody that can get pretty shots. But getting clear on all of that helps us, create an informed proposal, and helps the client feel like, oh, okay, we don't need to provide anybody. Like they've got the interviews, we're good. Or we love doing the interviews. We love being a part of those conversations and making sure that we get the sound bites that we want. So yeah, that's a good thing to cover as well.
Yeah, and I've noticed that sometimes that could be another one of your videographers who just happens to have those skills, or you do need a separate person with those skills. Could be a former journalist, people who have TV journalism experience can be really good at that. It doesn't have to go that far. Podcast hosts like you and me typically have a pretty good nose for good questions. And, depending on the field that you're in the marketing field, there's dozens of podcasters around in the room who would probably love the chance, especially if they're on camera. Usually those testimonials, they're not. Usually they're off camera asking the questions and the person's on, but it could be, either way.
I love this. I'm really excited. I can't think of an episode or a guest that I've had on where we've talked so much about event production, but I know like 80% or more of the people that listen to the show have some experience in that realm. So hopefully some of the things that we talked about resonate. Equipping people with better questions, better strategy on the front end, ultimately to get hired to do this job again, because the client is so happy with like, wow, like I just felt like we were super thorough. I felt like, you asked the right questions, expectations were set. We got the things that we wanted. We got things that we weren't even expecting. And this is really awesome. So that's my hope. I'm certain that, we did our job today, Phil. So good job.
Well, and I think the goal of a video company is the same as mine. I'm an event architect, which means I want to come alongside an event owner and understand what their goals are, which typically are financial. They want to get people coming back, retention. They want to improve their profitability, ROI, and they want to make an impact. So I think as a video company, you want to create things that help the event owner accomplish those same things too. And ideally in a measurable way, you've increased the retention. Actually, there's another thing that people talk about, and that's net promoter score. There's different ways that people measure that, but you've increased the value of the event for those who came. So they're like, I'm much more likely to refer this event to others. People are more likely to come back, speakers, attendees, sponsors, and we've become more profitable, which, I'm not exactly sure how a video company does that, but if you do things economically and you help us see, hey, we can do this for this amount of money, and you're like, wow, there's a lot of bang for that buck. And then, like you said, the above and beyond stuff that are surprises, is make more likely we're going to bring you back, but also we're going to bring you back if you've made the show better and made it more likely that people see the show as better and something that we have to come to next year.
Love that. I wasn't planning on this, but let's do a commercial for social media marketing world, because my assumption, I have yet to go, and every time it comes around, I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I not think about this with enough advance time to make the plan to be there? But if you're a filmmaker, if you own a video production business, you're probably making content that is for social media that people need. I'm assuming there are plenty of keynotes and talks and breakouts that are related that would be helpful for business owners. I mean, we should be doing our own social media marketing, right? So if for nothing else, to market ourselves, but also to think through what are the questions, what are the things that our clients should be knowing about. And the more we learn, the more we can be helpful to our clients, the more valuable we become for our clients. So give us just a snapshot of the event. And do you think it's a good place for a video production business person to attend?
Yeah. So the conference covers all things social media marketing and AI marketing. So it's really for marketers. And I would think a video production company has to be in the game of helping customers market, but also how to market yourself. So I think it would be a great place to go from that vantage point. Probably not going to learn a thing about video that you don't already know, except for how do I adapt my videos for LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or whatever it might be. And, it's probably not going to be the message that you want. Because there was a guy this year who said, I used to do videos with Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all these really fancy things. And it was like Back to the Future, and they would get no views. So then I just took out my smartphone, took some raw footage, and like you said, I got the ugliest car in the world, and it got millions of views. So he's like, I'm a video guy, and I had to like undo everything that I knew. But he said, I am using my skills. Like I know about all the angles and lighting, and I'm using that, and it's getting more views, but I'm less concerned about, the equipment. But I think if you were to come, you would find that you would get a lot of value out of the content to get better in marketing your own business. And you've now got tools to help your customers who need to figure out how to market their own business. So I think it is a great place to be, and you'll make connections with other people that maybe you can partner with who need video production even in their own business. And maybe you can expand the kinds of content that you create, because there's different levels of content. And we are in an AI world where AI can do video. So even understanding how do you set yourself apart from what AI is able to do for people, because it's kind of crazy, the stuff that's starting to come out in that world.
Kind of crazy. Like it's just insane. I posted a video that I made from Google VO this morning. I posted on LinkedIn, and I actually made two. I just can't believe it, dude. I just cannot believe it. Okay. Well, where can people, if they want to connect with you, if they want to follow along with you, find your book, all that stuff, where are the best places for them to do
First place to go is my website, philmershon.com. And I'm sure you can put it in the show notes, how to get there. All my socials are there, but the main places on social are LinkedIn and Facebook. And that's where I'd recommend that you go.
Awesome. This was amazing. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your perspective. Congrats on such a long run doing this kind of work. Events can be, they can be amazing, and they can also be super draining. And there's a lot of pressure, all of the things. So the fact that you're still going strong, like kudos to you. How about, we've never done this on the show, but how about, can you play yourself off?
Yeah,
is that how you
absolutely.
say that? Can you play yourself out?
We'll do a little outro here.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it. That's what I'm talking about. Phil, this is so good, man. Thanks for sharing your gift, and it's just so good to be together.
That was not AI, by the way.
It didn't look like AI. I wasn't going to say anything, but
that would be scary for me to take that to AI, and it'd play way better than me, I'm sure. So it's been a pleasure to be on the show, man. Thanks.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. If you got something out of today's conversation, do me a favor, share it with a friend or post it on your socials. Tag me at Ryan Coral or at Grow Your Video Business. I'd love to know what resonated with you. If you've got a question or takeaway, drop a comment wherever you're listening or watching this. You can also shoot me a message. I read every single one. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We've got more stories, strategies, and behind the scenes insights coming your way to help you build a business that you love. Keep creating, keep sharing your story, and keep showing up. I'm cheering you on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.